Hi, this is a follow-up video on the stability series that we talked about earlier when we did the anti-mover, no flexion, no rotation, no extension. This is where we're actually going to move. We're going to create strength in those prime movers, and we're going to primarily work the sagittal plane, which is a front to back plane in the beginning, and then at the end we're going to work the transverse plane, which will, some of them are triplanars, which will hit that frontal plane action. Okay. So Christy's gonna be our victim today. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get into a crunch. The reason I like the Swiss ball, number one, is because when you flex forward with your trunk, it takes about 30 degrees to contract the abdominal wall, but it takes about 40 degrees or so to fully load the extension. And when people do crunches on the floor, you only get half a motion. You don't get the extension. So this gives us both ends of the range of motion, front to back, in one exercise. So here's the key. There's going to be three basic ways we're going to do it. I'm going to show you. First of all, her hands will be in front of her, out in front of her like this. Okay. The next methodology would be the next level up would be hands across her chest, right? And then the next method would be hands by her ears. And you could get further, you could put them over your head, you could put weight out there, but it's not necessary because we're going to do enough volume that this will suffice. So you can do it any way you like. You can do it this way. Now, with the way she does it, she puts her head on the ball, so we get full extension, hips down. Okay. Now, first of all, chin to the chest. Then she crunches up, keeping the chin in place, and then back, and then puts the head back on the ball. Now, relax for a second. The reason we want to do this is the body has a flexor chain. Hyoid muscles of the neck, you have the abdominal wall, and then you have the flexors. And those muscle groups don't need to be equally strong. They need to be proportionally strong. So when you work them in a particular chain, then what they do is they proportionally strengthen themselves in relationship to the chain. It's like a three-man basketball team. You've got to have all three ability to flex. Okay, so here we go. So on the ball, head up, chin to the chest, crunch the trunk, back to the ball, head down. And you want to take this sequence. Go ahead and do several of them, Christy, would you, please? Yeah, and you can use a 2-1-2 tempo, 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down, maybe a second transition in the middle. So it's a moderate pace, nothing flashy. How many would you do? I would say, I don't know, dozen, 20. You don't need to do more at one sitting. You'd be better off doing 2 or 3 sets. Take 30 seconds off in between, 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and do another 20. And then take another minute and do another 20. It will be enough, okay? That will be the crunch. What we're going to do next is we're going to do a Swiss ball exchange. So she'll be on the floor. So we'll get down. She's going to get down on her back. She's going to exchange the ball between her arms and legs. We'll coordinate upper and lower body. So ready? Go. Yeah. There it is. At a moderate pace. And she's just going to keep going. Up and back is 1. Again, you would do 10, 15. It's going to find it actually quite demanding. Looks really simple. But it's really dynamic because you're moving both ends of the body at the same time. Next thing is we're going to get into a jackknife. So we'll get out of her way here so she can get up on the ball. Roll in from the side. Okay, come on in. Now, the key in this jackknife is we want to make sure that she maintains a posture that she would have if she was standing up. So we don't have any aberrant movement. So proper lumbar curve, head and thoracic spine are in line, everything's here. And this is not going to move. She's going to move the ball in her knees. So she's working the flexor and the lower end of her abdominal wall. She's essentially separating her back and her glutes. And her hamstrings. So like, for example, she's had hip, go ahead. She's had hip issues, right? So what we've done is we've helped her separate those muscle groups so that her glutes can get enough strength to work as a hip hinge properly. This is a great exercise. Now, this one has a variable to it. I like the jackknife, back out, and then into a pike. And she'll go right up into a pike, and then back down into the jackknife. And back up into a pike, and back down into a jackknife. Okay? So this one can be, and you could add a one-legged pike if you really got really wild and crazy, or You could add a push-up there. You can make this complex as you want. It's quite variable, okay? Now, that would be sagittal. There's many more exercises, but we'll get to them all as we go through the series. Let's get down to the ball and we'll do a prone lateral roll. This one is pretty simple. This you can use with some of your older athletes as well, who will not be very comfortable in a say for example in a supine position. Pull your feet a little closer together, right? Now she's just going to roll the ball sideways and try to hold herself from falling off the ball. Yeah, there. And you go out there and you hold it as long as you can and fight your way back. Seems very, very easy, but this is a big load and you get a lot of transverse strength here. Rotational strength is necessary to kick, rotate, and punch. Right? So this would be a prone lateral roll. It can be made more intense by bringing your feet closer together, right? And by the way, if you really push the envelope on this, you're going to fall off the ball. You're going to go too far and you're going to fall down. Okay, next thing we'll do is we'll do a supine lateral roll. So she's going to essentially be on the ball and she's going to go on her back. So to aid in this, go ahead and get set. I'll take a closet rod and we'll put it across her chest where she can hold it with her arms, giving her a position here. Now, the key on this is to make sure that her hips stay level, that she keeps her head down toward the ball right here, okay, and doesn't twist her body when she moves out. In other words, this platform is just going to move left to right. Okay, go ahead, back and forth. This one is really, really, if you had to pick any one of these and you could only do one, this is the one I picked. Okay, it's a triplanar because we're working sagittal, frontal, and transverse motions here in more of a static. This would be a very stable oriented exercise because it's not so much a prime mover, right? I put it in here because I like it, so I'm kind of violating the rules because it's not really a prime mover. But this is my favorite. Most of my athletes hate this exercise. They don't like it because it's way hard. All right, and I'm crazy about it. Okay. Now the last part of this will be extremely explosive because remember. There's a certain portion of our movement when we're doing core that has to be explosive. And that's primarily a transverse motion. Your core musculature contains probably more than 51% fast twitch fiber. So you need to move it fast in order to make it activate. Now this is going to help you kick with more explosion. It's going to have you punch with more rotation and more explosion. And we're going to use the med ball as a driver. So she's going to lay on the ball. You can use, don't get the heaviest med ball in the joint. This is only 4 or 5 pounds, but it doesn't have to be very big. Now, the ball is going to be over her head, and when she sits up, she's going to bring it to the side. Let's just do it slowly, Christy. Okay, yep, out to the side, back, come to this side. Okay, now, hold fire. Relax for a second. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make this thing explode. I want to see the movement when she goes from complete extension to complete flexion and rotation at one side has to be less than 3/4 of a second. So we're gonna ask her to pony up a little bit of high speed stuff here, and this is extremely explosive. So go ahead and go. It's very, very explosive, but this is all high speed fiber, and it is in the most important motion of all. It's transverse. It's rotational. Okay, I'll take that from you. How's your head? Okay, so that is essentially the sagittal and transverse plane, 3 exercises apiece. The nice part about it is the reason we use the stability ball today and a med ball is because you can do this in the dojo. This is really easy to access. It can become part of your dojo. We have a bunch of stability balls, and I'm sure most of you out there do. Everybody can exercise at one time. It's a pretty good. You could set up stations, right, where one station does one exercise, one station does another, and you can rotate through them. You can get very creative about how you do your core work. Okay, well, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.